This week on RSBANDB Update, Quest Helper and other plugins are shown off in RuneScape's plugin API preview. Will efficient play eventually mean using them? Also, the marketplace U-turn, trophy heads, and a second round of Leagues 2 combat blessings. Hello everybody and welcome back to another episode of RSBANDB Update. Just Zerdones and myself in this week. We wanted to be here before the League's hoopla begins because massive news today about the plugin API and a preview of some of the plugins that we're going to be getting when this arrives. And were you as shocked as I was to see that these appear to be coming way better along than I thought that they could be? We're looking at Quest Helper right now.
I mean, to be honest, I really didn't know what to expect. I mean, I don't play old school as you and as the listeners know, so I have no real preconceptions. So I don't know. They exist.
Yeah.
That's kind of where I'm at.
What we're seeing here is that as you are going through the quest, it highlights exactly where you need to put each individual item, and it showcases those items in your inventory. And this is effectively quest hand-holding. This is something that I personally would not be found using for new quests. But when it comes to second accounts, when it comes to the League, absolutely.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, I have been guilty of using guides on occasion.
Yeah.
I had kind of I wasn't really seriously trying for it, but I kind of had in the back of my head and fresh start. Oh, what if I'm first to get quest cape? So I was gunning pretty hard line through the quick guides on that.
Yeah, you got the inverted quest cape, didn't you?
I did.
I did. Seems to have fletching colors associated with it for some reason.
Same colors, actually, as the inverted Invention cape, I think.
Oh, fascinating. Yeah. Fascinating. But, you know, we said when plugins were going to come that if there was going to be one that they would want to do, they would have to do Quest Helper with that.
Yeah, definitely.
And this is a collaboration between the OSRS Quest Helper devs, the Alt1 Quest Helper dev, and I forget who the third was. The Bolt client,
which I had never heard of, but
it's a popular Linux client, and they kind of drew a bit of controversy earlier this year because they published their client with some add-ons, and this was before we knew Jagex was going to do plugins, and me and a few others were wondering, well, if they're adding some add-ons to this client and Jagex isn't batting an eye, does this mean that official plugin support is on the way? And lo and behold, the answer to that
clearly
was yes. So, and I mean, these are the people you want to have to do Quest Helper with. So,
sure,
that signifies it's going to be a first-class client. Another big one that a lot of people are looking for is the tile marker plugin, which allows you to mark tiles in specific areas. The example here, we're seeing that somebody is marking in one of the heists where you want to press your surge button, and with that, the die.
So sell me on this one, because I'm not really. I've seen a lot of people very excited about it, and I don't really get it. Like, I don't get what's so good about this.
Have you done Yakamaru?
Once.
Okay, so you know there's a line that you have to be crossed there when the Sharknado attack happens, right? When Yaka throws all the sharks at you, right? So one of the things you could do with that is set a tile marker so that if you're past, so you know when you're past that line that you won't get hit by the exploding sharks. Other examples might be about managing spawn points in various boss instances. I know that's not really that big of an issue here in RS3, but a lot of the bosses in OS do heavily rely on that. And I think the biggest thing I can see us using it for here in RS3 is this kind of application here that they were talking about in the heist, where it shows you where all your movement cues are going to be. And effectively, like, another example might be where to stand at the various attacks in two bosses that I remember being told specifically I need to stand here, bad things are going to happen, are going to be either Solak and Virago for their various attacks. So the
Okay.
idea behind it is that you can create your own sets of tiles that you mark on your client, and then there will presumably also be a community repository of tiles that tell you exactly what to do in a specific boss fight.
Okay, so this would be like instead of like the PVME guides where it's like stand here, put your cannon here, or like the Alt One or Clue Chasers guy or Clue whatever the not Alt One Clue solver is. Walk here, move to here, dive here. You download the packs and that just
Mm-hmm.
puts it in the map. Okay.
Yeah, yeah, that's pretty much the draw around tile markers. And again, another very key developer working on this one. So they want to also iterate from this and lean in onto things like if you use the OS or Alt One kind of markings before, is there anything that you would have had in those ones that could be done better? So it's not
Right.
just a plain copy paste. The other big one is the menu entry swapper. And the whole idea behind this one is that it lets you change the left click options on any item. So that
Right.
your wilderness sword can just be a one-click teleport to the herb patch if you wanted to without needing to go through the subsequent right-click options on that.
So it works even on nested menus?
I believe so, because that's what that is, right?
Well, I some of them it depends. It differs whether you're wearing it. Yeah, okay. So they're showing it there. So the
That's the
quiver it's a nested teleport.
yeah.
Or like the wilderness sword, for instance, like it has the teleports on the left click or on the right click if you have it equipped. But if it's in your inventory, then there's a teleport option in the menu, and then that opens a sub menu.
Yeah.
So okay,
And again, like I'm kind of two minds on these plugins. And we get to that with the agility helper here that specifically highlights all the agility obstacles, which I mean when you think about it, that's an accessibility feature at its core.
right.
And with plugins, what is this offloading from Jagex
Mhm.
to a plugin? And then from that, what does that mean for this game when it comes to the necessity of plugins? And what I mean by that is that there will come a point where it is just not efficient to not use certain plugins, and you will have to use them if you want to be as efficient as you can be.
Yeah, see, that's a load bearing if though.
It happens in OS. It happens
Okay.
in OS.
Well, sure, but that's a choice. No one is forcing you.
Right.
So like you can choose not to.
Oh, I know.
think the the thing about plugins, I mean, we've talked about the accessibility thing before. The thing about they are an accessibility tool, and the fact that they're an accessibility tool kind of short circuits any conversation about whether or not they're a good idea. Because realistically, plugins can put like Jagex will never be able to make the game as accessible as a dedicated community of plugin developers.
As somebody who has a specific accessibility problem that they want to fix.
Just from pure practicality standpoint, like the existence of plugins means every accessibility issue under the sun can make the game look exactly the way they need it to. And that's something Jagex is never going to be able to replicate. So that
Right.
kind of like that immediately
and
short
that's a good
circuits
thing, isn't it?
conversation. It is. It is a good thing. I think we can have the conversation that you're bringing up about the necessity of using them in game. I think that's always going to be a manufactured problem because like it's the same problem as efficiency-scape generally, which is it's not actually a problem. The problem is just no one tells you there's a different way to do it. So the expectation is always that you're doing it,
Right.
which is why I always try to fight against it and say,
Right.
like, no,
And
you don't have to.
no, I know that and I get that, but maybe there's a different perspective from the OS side. And I think that different perspective from the OS side is that one of the very inconvenient things about OSRS at the moment is that their official client is garbage.
Right.
And if you don't use RuneLight, which by default comes loaded with a selection of plugins, you are actively choosing to have a subpar RuneScape experience. And, you know, maybe we just have a different perspective here in that, you know, the default RS3 experience is a more polished, is a better experience than you get with the default OSRS experience.
Well, I do think there is a danger, and that's sort of the concern that I have from as an outsider looking into old school, is to what extent does the existence of plugins. I want to think very carefully about how I say this because the way I have it in my head is going to sound very mean.
Oh, be mean.
But
be mean.
Well, I don't want to be too mean because I know we have JMods who listen to this, but to what extent does the existence of plugins mean that Jagex doesn't have to implement certain features?
That's kind of what I was
doesn't
going
have to
for,
implement
yeah.
certain features,
Yeah.
and B, balance new content around the existence of plugin features.
Right.
Like if everyone is using Clue Solver,
that's exactly where I was going to go.
Is Jagex now incentivized to balance clues around the fact that clues are trivial?
I don't know. I think any kind of friction around clues in this day and age draws its own set of discussion from those who do clues. It's like they said, is that, you know, I think it was Mod Jack that said this at one point. They basically can't add new clues and they can't add new tiers of clues because it's expected that there is a clue meta, and in doing so, you would be upsetting that meta.
Yeah, the clue community is very much about, they're effectively playing Guitar Hero with the game. They're trying to execute a known sequence of actions as quickly as possible. And yeah, that does make it hard to change clues. On top of, like, I feel like I have no evidence for this, but I feel like if I were a Jagex developer, I would spend every waking moment cursing whoever came up with the concept of clues, because the proliferation of those scripts throughout the game must make content such a pain in the ass.
Yeah.
Like every time a graphical update happens, every time any NPC moves, any world geometry moves, there's a laundry list of patch notes in the following weeks saying fix this clue step, fix this clue step.
I remember when they updated the trees, the trees caused a real problem for a series of the clues that were out and about in random spots because, you know, oh, let's just put a new tree here. No, you put that tree on a spot where there's going to be a clue. And I guess if we bring that all back to the idea of plugins, Clue Solver wasn't one of the ones that was listed here, but you can bet that that's something
it's going to happen.
That's going to be there because it's already an Alt-1 plugin. I personally still think that if you make the choice to not use the plugins, when that could be a more efficient way of playing the game through whatever kind of content you're talking about, I think that that's a bad thing from a game design perspective. And that's one of the reasons why I I almost want to say spiritually, but that's not the right word. I'm against the idea of plugins in general.
Yeah, I mean it's hard because you can't have that conversation without also having the accessibility conversation.
Yeah,
They are
yeah,
inextricable. They're fundamentally intertwined. And so, yeah, you can't say I am philosophically opposed to the concept of clue solver, but agility helper is fine.
yeah.
You
And
can't have that
right,
conversation.
and to be clear, I myself would not be in that situation where I would,
Yeah.
say that would be the case. And I mean, anybody who knows me will know that my history, backs me up with that. Whenever I'm on an OS, I run with a minimal selection of plugins enabled on RuneLite, just whatever's needed to keep the game functioning. I have very rarely dabbled in mods in my gaming environment. I'm a fan of the Mac OS from the early 2000s, where there was one way of doing things and any other ways Apple said we're wrong, sort of thing.
You can get it in any color you want as long as it's white.
Exactly. And
Don't take that out of context.
generally, that's what I ascribe to when I look at software. If you're giving me too many options, I'm more likely to just tune out, if I'm being honest. But that's just me.
I mean, I'm similar. I do like a degree of customizability, but I think for me, from a plugin perspective, I don't mind that they exist. I don't see myself really using many of them, if any. What I don't want is I don't want them to be default on,
Yeah.
and I don't want them to be selfishly, I don't want the game to balance around them. From a practical standpoint, I realize that may not be realistic, sort of for the same reason that the game kind of has to balance PVM tables around the obsessives, which kind of screws over people like me who are more casual, or people who are like, I'm not even that casual. People who are more casual than me get way more screwed.
Yeah.
But
and
tough.
And like as it goes, you probably can't see this that well here, but
I
just have the most basic of basic lock screens on my phone, when in reality, you can put any kind of flippin' widget that you now want, even on iOS, which is not something I'm, generally a fan of. So
I have a Dalek.
Oh, okay.
Exterminate.
Okay.
I've had that for ages.
And then the other plugin that they showcased here was a home planner, which normally we used to outsource websites to, but if this can be done in the game, I'm all for that.
Yeah, well, I remember also this was something that people asked Mod Ramen about, and he said the functionality was built in. So lo and behold, I like that this will be in game. This is actually one I could potentially see myself using. What I'd be very curious about is how closely it follows the actual placement rules. I would assume it follows them very closely, and like it's not going to allow
because it can hook into the game and
illegal
and determine if something is valid or not.
Yeah. I would hope that it can do that, because there's a lot of sort of weird behaviors that aren't necessarily well represented in some of the websites that do this.
Yeah. But it kind of just lays down a grid, and then the person showing here that you still have to choose to place the room yourself. And
I imagine having it actually make a choice for you would be where it have it actually place the room
with
for
the automation.
You. Yeah, that's when you start getting into, is this a plugin or is this a macro?
Yeah. Okay. And then farm timers.
Oh, I'm sure you're excited about this one. No. No.
No,
you want to do it the old-fashioned way with a stopwatch,
or just track them on a sheet or something like that, right?
A little bit of graph paper like the good old days.
I mean, sure, why not? No, I wouldn't. I mean, I see the reason for this, and it makes conventional farming easier for people.
I feel like this exposes the existence of this or the necessity of this as a plugin. And maybe this is sort of the takeaway for plugins generally. I feel like the necessity of this as a plugin exposes a really weird bit of jank in the farming skill.
Yep.
Because farming, like I've never paid that much attention to
Until
farming
you
timers.
understand farm ticks, your mind is not broken.
Right. Like I know just enough. Like I'm Socrates in this situation. I know enough to know that I know nothing, and the little I do know scares me.
Right. Yeah. Like you can
Like,
reset
weird...
you can reset your farm ticks by logging in and logging out. So that's why somebody who's logging in and out every 5 minutes isn't going to see their crops grow.
Right. It's such a weird and non-intuitive system that, and maybe this goes back to like the danger we were talking about earlier, is that's a weird system. It probably needs to be looked at. Does the existence of this plugin mean that Jagex is either going to say, no, we don't need to look at that, or they'll say, yeah, we probably should, but we'll put it like way down on the priority list. We'll get to it in another 20 years or so.
Yeah, I think that's a really good example of a way to look at that. But I think the unfortunate reality with farming is that if you wanted to change that about farming, you would basically need to redesign the entire skill, because that is probably the skill that is most built on this game's tick system.
Sure. Well, yeah, because it's the skill that is explicitly on timers.
And for me, like going back to, 2007 with farming, that was the thing that, always drew me to the skill, and everybody else hated it because they couldn't progress it. In many ways, it was one of the first mobile-friendly skills that was out there that you could log in and log out. And,
yeah, I think we've had this conversation before. It's similar to ports in a lot of respects.
Yeah, because like I built my days around a farm run before school and a farm run after school.
Yeah,
and it was great. And I'm like, how can anybody not like farming? It's one of the easiest skills to train as a result.
Yeah, well, it's all in how you look at it, right?
Exactly.
It's easy once you get in a groove, but if you just want to blitz through it, I mean, it's easier now that we have
that's why things
spots,
like war bands were such blasphemy to farming and the squirk farm and all that.
Yeah.
And now, dare we say it, even things like the ranch out of time and the manor farm. So, but that's a bit of a preview of the plugins that are on the way, and this tells me that these are going to be here on time when we expect in October. Oh, another one, adding a search bar to the fairy interface.
Yeah, this is another thing that I'm kind of sad as a plugin, because I want stuff like this to be in-game. What was I thinking about? Achievements. Achievements desperately needs a search bar.
Well, there you go. Maybe that can be a plugin.
Yeah, maybe it can, but I kind of wish it was just native feature.
Well, here's what you can do. The API will be public to everyone, right? You can spend a weekend. You can get and for people who don't know, Zerdones and I go back and forth off the air about AI stuff all the time. He's a Luddite. He doesn't like it. I don't mind it. You can use this as a time to maybe go and sit with Codex or Cursor or something, and maybe they can help you write that plugin.
Or I can just learn Lua like it's the 1970s again.
Yeah. Which, I mean, makes sense. They kind of chose that. Lots of game extensions / plugins use that language, right?
I guess. I don't know much about Lua, to be honest.
It's all I know is that it's functional, right? It's a functional program.
That sounds right.
Yeah.
I know very little about Lua. I know functional programming people are insane.
Oh, I know too. I know. I had
a friend in uni who was really big in small talk, and like, you were crazy.
Did you have to take a functional programming course?
Sort of.
Okay.
My CS 101, it wasn't 101, but effectively my first term CS course, they taught us in Racket, which is a dialect of Lisp.
Oh,
It's a
okay.
derivative of Lisp, so it's very functional
Were they
based.
trying to weed out the riffraff at that point?
Well, bear in mind, like I was in a computer science degree.
Yeah.
So I had friends who were in math degrees, and their first term programming course was Python.
Okay.
So it was specifically for people who were really into computer science. The stated reason they did it that way was, first off, they're operating on the assumption that some number of people are going to be coming in with prior experience in Java, JavaScript, Python,
Right.
whatever,
Right.
and some people are not. And so this is a level playing field because no one's coming in with Lisp experience, and if they are, they deserve that advantage.
And see, the reason that raised my eyebrows is because over here, our functional programming course was a third-year course taught exclusively in Lisp. Up until that
Right.
point, you were working in things like Java or C.
Right.
So,
Well, I think the other thing about Racket is that Racket was designed to be a teaching language. So
okay.
the IDE. So first off, it's very simplified from Lisp, as I understand Lisp anyway. But
Oh, yeah.
also
Oh,
the
yeah.
IDE has features built in that allow you to selectively disable language features. So you start with a very minimal subset of the language, and then you build it up over the term. So you have more, you get kind of an organic growth. You don't get too overwhelmed with it.
All right. Well, as they say here
Slight
on RS,
tangent.
as they say here on RSBANDB update, when we start tangenting, you know what that means.
Time to move on.
Yeah, that looks a lot like Lisp, which makes
It
sense.
is. It's derived from Scheme, which is itself derived from Lisp.
Okay.
If it makes you feel better, my second term class was in C,
All
and that
right.
was more about memory management and
Yeah, that
pointer
makes
arithmetic.
sense. Yeah.
So we went from very fundamental conceptualization to pointer hell.
Yeah, and all I'll say with the C programming stuff, a number of people in the labs learned very quickly why, when you reboot the computers, they wipe back to a standard state with the amount of corruption that some people manage to cause with that. So,
Yep.
You're listening to RSBANDB Update, episode 1101, recorded on Thursday, August 6th. We wanted to get this one in before the league stuff started, but big, huge thank you to our experienced tier Patreon members, who are not these people on the YouTube version. They are Amos Reed, Pladecom,
So maybe some of
Dominic
them are.
R, Jade Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Julia W, Kesky Plays, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Ricky A, Psyoaces, Smavin, Snail Mage, The Naked Captain, and Tim. If you want to hear more about our Patreon offerings, you'll hear about that a little bit later in the podcast. But in the meantime, full show notes can be found over at update.show. We have the Friends chat in-game at Bits Bytes, and the community Discord can also be found over at update.show/Discord. I promise we'll get back to the fun RuneScape stuff right now.
We're a gaming podcast, honest.
Yeah, and I mean, hey, I mean, if everything goes belly up, we can just go talk about Lisp and
We gotta pivot.
Yeah. Oh, Runicatoon. What's this one?
I have no earthly clue.
Runicatoon breaks down the runecrafting skill and pulls in live GE prices, so you can see exactly what's profitable to train, and provides extra info to keep you in the loop, from XP rates to rune costs.
So this kind of seems like, okay, so looking at the pictures, it looks like it's a combination of rune metrics, the wiki's XP calculator, GP per hour calculator,
And what
and
your
also
Runicatoon
maybe
is telling you
tips.
what to do.
Yeah, and also maybe like useful tips and tricks.
Yeah.
So I don't know. This is another one I really don't see myself using, because it seems like this is primarily aimed at people who are looking to maximize their GP per hour which is not me.
Right.
So, I mean, I guess if you find this useful, you in the general sense, then I'm happy for you, but
Yeah.
nah.
Okie dokie. Well, we know this will be coming, and we'll probably get an actual release date at RuneFest, but in
Probably.
the meantime, with that, this week saw the release of the first cosmetics for the POH in the marketplace.
Yeah, this is kind of an interesting day.
Balloons, confetti cannons, standards and armor sets commemorating the 25th anniversary of the game. One bundle for 540 rune coins includes the armor sets and the like that you can put up in a shield medallion
Banners,
that can be draped
the
on
little
the floor.
plush Bella. Yeah.
The party packs, 360 coins. That included the banners, the balloons on the floor, balloons on the wall. And then the party cannons on their own was 270 rune coins.
Yep.
And oh boy, did this break the internet this week.
Yeah, people were a teensy bit unhappy.
I said on the monthly bit I was gonna say something controversial here.
Do it.
Initially, you could buy these packs more than once, and you would only get the items to
It was one use.
One use, and you would get a set that you could put down. So if you wanted more balloons or more armor pieces, you would have to buy the bundle more times. I have the controversial opinion that it was a mistake for them to U-turn on that, because it shoots themselves in the foot for another angle of monetizing the game.
Because Shane is just begging to be taken advantage of.
I mean,
he's out here in the club waving his unattended drink around.
I mean,
metaphor didn't really make sense. Don't
no,
think about
it doesn't. And let me give you another metaphor. And this is not the most RuneScape thing that they could do. And it's up for debate about whether or not this would be a good idea. But imagine a platinum sync. We have the gold sync, right?
Mm-hmm.
What if they put a platinum sync in the game that sold for like $50 worth of rune coins? And you just got that once. And if somebody wanted to, show off, they could do that and just give money to Jagex. Personally, I don't see the problem in that.
I mean, I kind of don't either. I think it depends. So I do think there's a market for very expensive status symbol cosmetics. I mean,
Yeah.
what was that iPhone app a couple of years ago? It was like $10,000 and it literally did nothing except say I spent $10,000 on this app.
Yeah,
or whatever.
They even had a similar one like that when the App Store first launched back in the day. I think it was even just cheaper then too, $9.99, and it just displayed a gem on your phone. And obviously Apple clamped down on that because that is ripe for somebody pushing the wrong button. I
feel like my thing with these specific, I don't think there's anything intrinsically wrong with that approach. I just think, first off, it depends on it matters what you're selling.
Yeah.
And secondly, it matters how you present it. So one of the things that kind of rubbed me wrong about these packs is, first off, like the marketing, especially for the balloons pack, it didn't show one balloon. It showed like 6 of everything, or 3 or whatever.
It was basically these pictures.
Right.
Here.
So like these are like, I don't think this is one pack's worth. Correct me if I'm wrong on that.
No.
Like I think you would have to buy the pack multiple times to recreate this scene.
I think so.
One of these scenes. And that doesn't sit right with me. The other thing is, like, particularly for things like armor sets and stuff, it makes sense to me for those to at the very least come in pairs, just because of how they're typically deployed, right? Like you want to have them flanking a door or something.
Right. But if you only get one, then you need to buy that again.
I think also the fact that they're fairly small means I'm not necessarily opposed to having them be single purchase or like single use buy multiple times, I balk a little bit at the fact that it's $30 for them when they're these small little things.
That was one of the things that Zant brought up specifically when it came to the graphical general fidelity of how these items looked, in that they weren't necessarily, the most modern, let's say, in that regard.
Yeah,
So.
I mean, he's the expert, but I think they seem pretty modern to me. They're not very flashy, which I guess is kind of like, that's kind of the double-edged sword of the whole regrounding effort, is like, okay, these seem to fit pretty well in the world, but they're pretty bland for something I'm going to spend so much money on. I actually do have to say I'm a little disappointed by the 25th anniversary bundle, because that was one I was actually interested in, because I like memorabilia stuff, memento stuff. I've got my update 1,000 stuff on my shelf above me and the 20-year pin above me. So I like that kind of stuff.
Nice.
But
so you were wondering about the party decorations.
Yeah.
You would have got four of these buntings.
Oh, okay.
Two of the
balloons.
2 of the balloons, 2 of the red, 2 of the blue, 2 of the yellow, and 2 of the mixed for the wall. And
so it's four of the buntings and then basically 2 of all the balloon types.
Yeah.
Okay, so you actually probably could recreate those packs. Okay.
And I mean,
that makes me feel better.
Like, for that price, it's not like a huge amount, right?
Well, it was 360 rune coins, you said. What are rune coins going for now?
I
mean, first off, it's always that thing where you've got to buy too much
because the way the packs land.
Yeah, so you got to buy the 400 rune coin bundle, so that's $12 US.
14.
That's
Canadian.
not bad.
It's like a month of membership for these, basically.
Yeah, that's not bad. The anniversary pack is annoying. You either have to buy the 400 and the 200, which is like $18 US, or you need to buy the 800 pack, which is $24. That's a bit excessive, I think, for what you're getting.
Yeah, and like you said, in order like to have like 2 of the armor things, stand off at the side of the door like that, that is definitely something that you would have to take into account. And
then you got to buy the 2000 pack, which is $60.
Woo.
Or 70 Canadian dollars.
Right.
That's a game.
But like, do these look good?
They look good. They don't look $30 good.
And I think, if I am to play devil's advocate for my position, I think the thing that probably rubbed people the wrong way was that, and the precedent that it offers if you can buy these things multiple times. And for me, like we've talked about time and time again before, I come from a different set of MMO games in terms of monetization, and I don't do this regularly, maybe once a year. It goes without saying that sometimes, if you want to buy a ship in Star Trek Online, a basic one is $30. But if you want one of the hero ships from one of the TV shows, you're looking at $120 plus for one character unlock.
Yeah, I always think it's worth reminding people who enjoy complaining about RuneScape's monetization, like, please, for the love of Gothics, play a second game. Like, I'm all for, like, I mean, I shouldn't say I'm all for, because slippery slope fallacies are fallacies for a reason. But like, if you don't want things,
that's what I was getting a lot of this week from people.
But recognize that it is way better than it could be.
I mean, it could still be
even
MTX,
even with
items, right?
Right. Yeah, like this. I can't remember who it was. Someone in the Discord made this point. I think I'm not going to say who I think it was in case I'm wrong, but someone made this point, like, everyone who's mad about how expensive these cosmetics are don't realize that this is how expensive it would have been to get them through gambling.
Oh, that's what Sirion said in I think he said that in the pre-show of our monthly bit.
That's possible. Every conversation I have blurs together now. I'm getting old.
Yeah, and see, that's the thing that a lot of people didn't realize when these treasure hunter going away conversations were having, and there was going to be a marketplace. We said last year that every game that has gone down this path has put out cosmetics or monetization items that everybody thought were too expensive. And the reason for that,
like WoW is the famous example with like their $100 mount or whatever it is.
Because that's the price you pay when you're not paying for chance. I'm sorry, that's just how it is. And because of that, and the difference between that, the difference between Star Trek Online and its gamble ship mechanics and where we were at now, that is why I don't see bundles being able to be purchased multiple times as something that necessitated a one business day U-turn. They were quick on this.
Yes, they were. Well, they're very, very sensitive. This is a situation that they're going to be very sensitive to because this kind of ties directly into the whole theme of the year, right?
Yeah.
Like they really don't want a repeat of Hero Pass. Bluntly.
And they can't have anything in the game become toxic. Because
no, they can't afford it right now.
Because as we've talked about in the most recent monthly bit, in the people they're choosing to collaborate with, they are leaning heavily on saying to OSRS people and OSRS adjacent people that we've changed. We're fine. You can come on over and you can play this game. Because
what they don't want to do is have that message out and then, oh, by the way, they're $20 would be nice.
Yeah. And see, I feel like that's a really disingenuous business part of what's going on here, because we need to get to the core of what the hell is going on with this year. As in, are we trying to attract OSRS players over? Is that the main thing that the game is trying to do, to the point that it necessitates an absolute reimagination of how they conduct their social media affairs when it comes to monetization bundles like this? Or is this really just a case of we need RuneScape to be in its modern incarnation as pure as it can be and free from monetization nonsense?
Well, they're in a really tricky situation, I think. I remember something, I think it was something Ma Jack said years ago now, about how they really don't like talking about their monetization because the discourse just goes to shit immediately. It's so hard to have a productive conversation because you're immediately inundated with the negativity. And there is a lot of negativity around this concept, partly because the industry at large has become so extractive in this respect. And also because, I mean, people just don't like talking about money generally. But the practical reality, I don't want to say I was exactly having this conversation, but I was reading and replying to some comments on last week's video on YouTube with a commenter about this, and talking about how, like, ideally we would pay a membership and that would be it.
Yeah.
And yes, that would be ideal.
That's the OSRS model.
That's the OSRS model. But realistically, I don't see a world in which RS3 does that unless players are willing to pay 20% more on their memberships. And even then, I don't think I can see it.
No. And I mean, like if that's what players really wanted, The alternative thing would be to throw down a legitimate, not a PR poll, and say that, we can completely get rid of this kind of monetization in the game and run it just subscription based like OSRS does, but this, and this need to happen, and the price needs to go to this. Yeah. And part of the this, and this, I think, and I think you'd find a lot of OSRS players who would be okay with this, is that you actually decouple the memberships for both games.
Yes, I agree. Because I think one thing, it gets talked about occasionally, but one thing that I don't think a lot of old school players complaining about this really get is the degree to which old school is allowed to exist in its current form because of RS3's microtransaction monetization.
And we're going to have, by the way, for anybody who's writing a comment right now about this, we're going to have in a few weeks, we're going to have the 2025 financials. They were we've posted on the website and are being processed as we speak.
They should, theoretically, they'll be available to us within 2 weeks.
So sometime in August, we'll talk about the 2025 financials and see exactly where that landed.
That will be a very fun episode, I'm sure.
Yeah. But no, I get your point, and we don't know what the breakdown is because they stopped splitting this out a number of years ago as to what game is subsidizing what. But there was a time period where RS3, before the monetization started ramping down, was subsidizing OSRS. There's no ifs, ands, or buts about that.
I don't know this for a fact, and we don't know this for a fact, but I still think it was true at least as of 2024, because microtransaction revenue in 2024 was like 22% of Jagex's total revenue. And it was about 20% of their membership. Like, subscription revenue was 5 times higher than their microtransaction revenue, which means MTX revenue was the equivalent of 1/5
or 20%
of their subscribers.
Yeah.
And not all of that is RS3, because that includes bonds, which old school players buy. But I would be willing to bet that most of it was RS3. It was treasure hunter keys. It was Solomon's cosmetics, RuneCoin bundles. And so that's $20 million that didn't have to come from memberships. And if they wanted to get that from memberships, that's about 400,000 people, 400,000 new accounts to make up that money.
Which, good luck finding that.
And so the reason, that's the reason I don't really see a future without MTX.
Yeah.
For that reason.
Yeah.
The reason I don't see a future, even if we increase membership prices, is because the practical reality of capitalism right now, like the whole thing about capitalism, and particularly private equity capitalism, is growth at all costs. Growth. So, okay, let's imagine that Mod North shook the couch cushions and found 400,000 subscribers next year. What's he going to do in 2027? Because that revenue number has to go up in 2027.
You got to keep it up.
And maybe not. And, he's gotten some runway on taking out treasure hunter, so he's got some leeway here. But at some point, those numbers are going to have to go up, and they're going to have to go up every year, or maybe Mod North gets fired, maybe Mod Ryan gets fired.
Yeah, and then who knows what happens after that, because you cannot run a game like RS3 at a loss for a prolonged period of time.
No.
And and people are going to say, well, it still has a positive revenue flow, right? And might even be profitable at the end of the day. But in the grand scheme of things, since cutting out treasure hunter, your revenue is down. That is not good for how the private equity firms look at a company like Jagex.
No.
And that's why there's a limited amount of runway as to what can be done here, and why what you said about, RS3 being a purely subscription-based game really doesn't make sense. And if I'm to bring it back to my initial controversial opinion, you got to be able to sell something, right?
Yeah.
So what are you going to sell? You put it in the bundle and people buy it once? Or in the market,
I think
people buy it
there's
once?
lots of different ways you can price this kind of product. So I think the way they were originally pricing them, they seemed to expect that most people would only buy it once, and probably a few really invested people would buy it multiple times. They've now priced it, and like that's fine. That's a fine pricing model. There's nothing wrong with that. You can make a lot of money doing that. Lots of places do. What they've moved to, where you buy it once and you unlock the recipes for all the items so you can make them infinitely in game. That's a model where you're assuming that people are going to buy that only once, ever, because they can only buy it once, which is also fine. But as a recurring revenue stream, that means you're expecting to have a lot of these.
Yeah.
And maybe they are, because they have a rotating series of them.
And with that can also mean that the price for individual ones could go up from the here.
It could.
Like a 50% increase, maybe.
The other way to go would be to continue to have them be single item purchases and just lower the price significantly. So you expect a lot of people are going to buy more than one of them. That's maybe a little bit more dangerous. It depends.
It's like going to the bulk store to buy candy, right?
Right, exactly. You can either, it's sort of like the difference between what's the thing that's in my head? Like, it's the difference between like The Sims, which has a shit ton of DLC that's all like $5 or $10, or like Train Simulator, which also has a shit ton of DLC, but they're all like $50 or $100 or more.
I have avoided installing or going anywhere near Train Simulator because I know that would be a problem.
Well, I mean, the thing is, like, the thing with those is the reason those are so expensive, first off, because a ton of research goes into them. Because the people who play those games are insane.
That has to be absolutely accurate.
It has to be absolutely accurate. So you have to put a ton of research and time into it. But also, because they value that so much, they're willing to buy particular items that don't actually really change the game at all. It just makes them feel better because it reminds them of something that they miss and that they want to relive. And that's fine.
And that's like the Star Trek Online ships. If you want to fly the latest hero ship,
right,
you're gonna get within to 95% of the same performance of it, but it's not going to look like the Strange New Worlds Enterprise.
It's the difference between you can sell 10 items at $100 or 100 items at $10.
Yeah.
And either is fine. It just depends on what you're selling and who you're selling it to.
Right. Really. And the community was averse to one of those options this week, rather. So,
yeah.
And I just hope that they haven't shot themselves in the foot monetization wise on this going forward.
I don't think they will, just because frankly, I don't expect most people would have bought it more than once anyway. Yeah.
And in many ways,
they probably will have a lot more of these bundles.
And in many other reasons, it's good that this happened this week, a few days before leagues, because all of this controversy otherwise will just get
it's all going to blow
under
away.
The rug.
Yep.
So, I don't know.
Good thing we spent 20 minutes or whatever talking about it.
Yeah, and I mean, like I said, like, we could have been here and we could have talked about, not done a show this week and just waited for the theory crafting on Sunday. But we wanted to talk about this because I've been told more and more from people that I need to get my spicy takes out there.
Yep.
So there we are.
You gotta bait the YouTube commenters. That's the path to victory.
And they also had to make a comment about making it so that certain trophies are more tasteful, specifically the Ivar and Masuda trophy.
Yeah, I saw there was a post on Reddit complaining about how many of the trophies are heads. Just in general, the fact that so many of the trophies are heads, it's a little uninspired, I think. And it also is pretty gruesome, especially since a
I
lot
was
of the
trying to find a
bosses,
picture of it on.
they're not really up there yet.
No,
The high res ones aren't really up yet because these just came out recently. Like it is a little gruesome, especially for like the God Wars 1 bosses, some of which are friendly NPCs in later content. Like it's a little dark, and it is also a little bit lazy. I don't want to say lazy exactly, but it's a little bit uninspired, especially compared to like Nakatra. You can get a piece of her arena, or the soul obelisk for the Magister or whatever.
I think the Zamorak one's really neat. It's like the runes.
Yeah, the rune. Yeah. So like things like that sort of demonstrate the creativity that can go into it. So just having the heads is a little bit meh. And then for Masuda and Ivar in particular, like those are basically just dudes. So like think through the optics of that for a second. You've basically just got human heads on your wall. And I know Ivar is a giant, but he's basically like he's human looking. He's effectively a human visually.
Oh, that's the first thing that took me back on that. I'm like, what is? Oh, that's Masuda.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a little bit dark.
I mean, that
little grim.
I mean, if this was 2007 and the Teenage Edgelords were playing.
Oh, yeah, they'd be all over this. That'd be totally fine. Like, yeah, cut off his head. Yeah.
What is Ivar's? I haven't seen that one.
It's his head.
Is it? So it's just a bigger head than Masuda's.
It's just his head, yeah.
Basically, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's just his head.
But the main point about this is that the boss trophies that were missing in the first launch were added.
Yep. So now every boss in the Beasts tab has a trophy.
And these were mostly the Elite Dungeons plus Chaos Elemental, Rise of the Six, and
Chaos Elemental. Yeah. Yeah, because on launch only the end bosses of the EDs had trophies. Now the mid bosses and the Sanctum bosses all got them. None of them were included. And none of the recent bosses were either.
I'm imagining that was
the Haven Heights bosses, Mechanaz.
That was just a time thing then.
Probably just resources, I would expect.
And they added new marble pedestals as well if you want more than just the standard ones that are available that were there before. So
they're nice. I've made a few.
Yeah. I haven't got to trophy collecting yet. That'll probably be an After Leagues thing at this point in time. I've really been trying and wanting to go back to Yaka for this, but every time I pop my head into Raid FC, it's been a graveyard, so I got to find a different place to go and farm some Yaka kills with.
That doesn't bode well for if/when I eventually get to wanting to farm the raids.
No, and see, that's the thing. That's another casualty of the Dailyscape change. With the Dailyscape changes, they made it so that you could just go to raids whenever off lockout, right? But previously, before that, everybody would gather around reset. So it made going to raids around reset every other day a good time to do it, which obviously, that goes counter to what they were wanting about being able to go do PVM whenever you want, but it's really diluted the raids audience, and I haven't actually found a good time to go yet when there would be people there, so I might have to look in other corners of the internet.
I think it also illustrates the problem with forced group,
especially a group size of 10.
Yeah. Well, that was always the thing about WoW, right? Like WoW kind of introduced the concept of raids, or at least popularized them.
Yeah.
And that was always the thing, right? It's hard. It's just basically functionally hard to get that many people together at once.
So, I'm wondering with this, and obviously, based on roadmaps and whatnot, I don't think there would be the dev time for this, but given what happened with Sanctum of Rebirth, maybe Mazcab needs to be reimagined as a kind of Sanctum-like experience where you can take up to 5 people or solo it and finally add that third boss.
I doubt it, but we dare to dream.
Because there was for the longest time pathing inside the Yakamaru arena to get to where the third boss was going to be. Then I think it was sometime in 2023 or 2024 they sealed it up, and that was the admission to all of us that it was never going to happen.
Yeah.
So
I think that writing was on the wall, but yeah.
I don't know. Like, I think the game would do well if they reimagined raids as a solo to 5 experience like they did with Sanctum of Rebirth.
Yeah,
add
like
the
something
third boss,
scaling.
redesign them, and just honor what was there and call it a day, basically. So, but with that, I'm going to thank some Patreon supporters, because without them, RSBANDB update would not be a thing, and these guys in particular enabled our most recent monthly bit to happen, which was a topic in itself. So this week, that's Alvaro L, Amos Reed, Arvids L, Bladecom, Brandon F, Chelsea O, Chilbura, Dominic R, Duramax, Forceful Turd, Guy Lafleur, Imperialis, Jay Gizmo, Jason S, Jesse W, Kesky Plays, Lemon Lodge, Luminos, Mattman, Mighty Myth, Michelle M, Mike Wings, Mongrath, Nate M, Parnassius, Ricky A, Robbie D, Samuel FL, Sanguine RX, Scott DS, Shirt Pants, Oasis, Smavin, Snail Mage, Squidman 8, The Naked Captain, The Dabbing Goat, Tim, Ukulele Steve, Woody, Zant, and Zazakon. Patreon.com/RSBNB. There, for as little as $1 a month, you now have 97 extra RSBANDB update episodes. Monthly bits, we call them. Singular episodes that delve deep into one topic. And oh boy, did we have a doozy this month going over Mod North's most recent podcast interview he did.
Yeah.
It wasn't just summarizing that. It was more along the lines, what does this mean for our future? How are you feeling after that? Because Sirion mentioned me. He said he feels really good about OSRS.
Yeah, I'm concerned, but I don't know.
Me too.
I mean, I guess it seems like there's a whole lot riding on stuff that we just don't know yet. It seems like there is a ton of stuff that is riding on RuneFest in general, and specifically the big announcement that they keep teasing in all the content. What do they keep saying it? The ultimate reason to return to the game, to Retvern, to honor, to respect players old and new, and lead us on into a golden age of prosperity.
But when you,
I don't know,
when you parse through the CEO stuff that got there, it raises more questions than it answers, and in particular about whether or not all eyes on the RSIP, intellectual property, effectively the RuneScape universe, and how that can be done and achieved for RS3 is something that raises a lot of questions. Because there's easy answers for OSRS, there's easy answers for Dragon Wilds, but the answers are not that easy for RS3, and what they might be thinking has potential ramifications for OS as well. So we went into all that. If you want to hear that episode, $1 a month, that's all it costs, and in doing so, you'll be supporting this podcast. And also, of course, you can pat yourself on the back for ensuring that RSBANDB update keeps running. Then we have our community tier, where for $3 a month, you get a VIP rank on our Discord, which entitles you to a special chat channel. You get a monthly shout out at the top of the show, plus high quality stereo versions of the show. We'll also ask you from time to time for ideas on things like monthly bits, topics for quiet weeks, and of course, you'll also get to take part in our community nights. Then we have our insider tier, where for $5 a month, you get a weekly shout out on the show and expanded clip access from the pre and post shows. Zerdones and I were doing a bit of back and forth about where we're at on leagues that might appear in this week's clips. So if any of that sounds interesting to you, patreon.com/RSBNB. Thanks so much, everybody. It means the world to us. Patreon.com/RSBNB. Okie dokie. League starts on Monday. We're not gonna go too far into planning or theory crafting much today. That's not what this episode is for.
No.
We mainly want to talk about the combat blessings because we got most of the relics now, but the combat
Well,
blessings,
we have all the relics now. We just don't have the tiers.
yeah, and it doesn't make sense to plot where those are going to go until then.
No.
And by the time you guys are listening to this, you'll know. So there's not much point in us talking about relics, but we can talk about combat blessings.
Yep.
So I spent most of last night theory crafting my combat stuff.
Oh, excellent.
I really like these combat blessings so far. We got the ones in tier 2 that include Havoc Born, which increases your damage by 20%, but also reduces your maximum life points and armor value by 25%.
It's very much the glass cannon approach.
Yeah. True Equilibrium, where you gain 75 base ability damage, 50 armor, 500 life points, 5% crit chance, 7.5% crit damage, and 5 prayer for each relic alignment you have chosen. I saw you doing some work on this one.
Yeah.
So what does that mean?
That confused me initially, and they eventually clarified it. So essentially the way it works is it's based on which colors of blessings you've chosen. So ignore whatever you took in the first 4 tiers for the moment. If you just take True Equilibrium, you will get 75 ability damage, 50 armor, 500 life points, 5%. You'll get all of that one time. If you take True Equilibrium and one of the blue relics, then you will get all of that stuff 2 times. If you take True Equilibrium and a blue and a red blessing, you will get all of that stuff 3 times. It doesn't matter how many of each you've taken, as long as you get one. Each color that is represented at least once.
Each color counts for one activation of it, basically.
Right.
And you can't go for more than 3.
Nope.
Which makes sense, because if you're going True Equilibrium, you're going to get that 3 times, and that amplifies the power of that choice.
Right. It's the balance option. It's the perfectly balanced, just as it should be.
Yeah. Then we have Higher Power on the order track, which increases base ability damage by 30%, but you lose access to Berserk, Death Swiftness, and Living Death and Sunshine. And
this ties into another interesting clarification we got today, which has got some people up in arms, that the World Wakes quest, which unlocks Living Death and Sunshine, will be region locked. So if you want Living Death to Kandarin, yeah. So if you want Death Swiftness and Sunshine, you would better take Kandarin or take this relic, which makes it pointless.
Yeah. There was also a late clarification too from Mod Breezy that he's looking at making it so that Zamorak can drop the greater Sunshine and greater Death Swiftness. So you would get that as a drop from Zamorak, and you wouldn't need Kandarin in that case.
I would be quite surprised for that to go in at this point. I mean, I guess they could.
It likely wouldn't be for the first week, but for week 2, yeah.
Yeah, because week 2 by this point, or sorry, week 1 by this point, I'm 100% that's dev complete.
Yeah,
that's in RC.
Yeah, which basically what that means is that unless there's like some major, game breaking change, they can't add to it at this point in time.
Like it's in testing stages.
Like based on how this goes, we'll talk about this, but I have feelings on this. I think if you want Death Swiftness and Sunshine, either at its base form or its greater form, you need to take Kandarin. I think that's how I feel it should be. And I feel like as well, looking maybe some of the OSRS things, maybe there is a bit of a precedence to do what Breezy was saying, but we'll see where they land on that.
I think I don't have strong feelings either way because I'm planning on going melee, and so Sunshine and Swiftness don't matter to me.
Right.
But I feel like I would be, conceptually, I'd be more sympathetic to that viewpoint if Berserk and Living Death were also region locked. But as it stands, it is a little bit awkward that the damage boosting ultimates, and this is maybe something that's worth revisiting in the base game generally, but it's a little bit awkward that the damage boosting ultimates for two styles are locked behind some content and the other two just aren't.
Yeah. And
They're
I'd
just
even
level locked.
and I'd even go as far to say with this is that if you take this and you're planning to go necro, you're basically saying I'm going to do a conjure build because the death swiftness rotation is then basically the main way of doing necro damage outside of conjures. So
yeah, the living death. Yeah.
Oh, did I say death swiftness?
You said death swiftness. So that's okay. I've done that. We've all
Tier
done that.
5, I love this one. Unholy Critual. 15% critical strike chance. Crit strike chance is capped at 50%, but any excess crit chance is converted to a critical strike damage at a 1-to-1 ratio. You also get Infernos of Zamorak, which grant 50% critical strike damage, and upon critical strike, unleash an Inferno of Zamorak, and these Infernos of Zamorak deal 100 to 200% ability damage to a single target. And it has been being talked about that you can run this in a recursive nature with the Fractured Staff.
Yep. And off itself as well, I think.
Yeah, which is like, holy crap. And this, for people looking for a bit of a preview to the theory crafting episode, I am leaning heavily going for a magic crit build. So this one caught my eye, and I'm just kind of honed in on it.
So one thing I want to highlight is that Inferno of Zamorak is the ability that you gain in Blessing Tier 2 if you take Abyssal Cinders.
Yep.
So this just empowers that ability and gives you another way to get it. And that's a theme for this entire Blessing tier. They give you the abilities that you could have gotten in Blessing Tier 2. So this would be an opportunity to get one that maybe you liked but didn't want to take for whatever reason, and gives you another way to get them.
Yeah. Tearing Thorns. Damage over time abilities last 100% longer, and every 5th hit of a damage over time triggers a Grasp of Gothics. And Grasp of Gothics deal an additional damage equal to 20 to 30% of your max life points. And they also deal poison damage equal to 80 to 20% of your ability damage in a 3x3.
Yep.
So
standard poison, like non-poisonable enemies won't be affected by this unless
I don't know unless what.
There's a relic that changes that.
Yeah, and I haven't gone into, what a ranged build might look like or what a dot build might look like, but that's probably where you would go here. That's really not an interest to me, so I kind of just saw this one and, didn't give it too much thought. Do you see this anywhere in your future?
No, I don't really think so.
All right, fair enough. And then there are 5 lights. There are 5 lights, Sir Domes. I was wondering if anybody was going to get that reference when I posted.
I got it.
Okay, good.
I got it.
Lord of Light. Your basic attacks trigger 5 lights of Saradomin at random tiles near your target, each damaging up to 8 targets within 1 tile at a 14.4 second cooldown. Each light of Saradomin will deal 2% increased damage for each point of prayer bonus you have. Lights of Saradomin now heal you for 5% of damage dealt, and Lights of Saradomin deal damage equal to 40 to 60% of your ability damage plus 250% of your armor value.
Once again rewarding the tank.
Yeah, there is a really good case here for just making a run across most of the straight order paths, I think, and going for a tank armor build if you're just wanting something simple and not, something truly, truly absurd. So, I think there's reason to choose both of these depending on where you land.
Yeah, I would agree, and I think I'm having kind of a hard time choosing between this one and Unholy Crit because they both do seem quite good. One clarification that we got after the fact is that those 5x Light of Saradomins, they can hit the same target if the target is big enough. So, Bald Ego Burr.
Yeah, that's going to be really neat. I might look into do a bit more theory crafting tonight and see where Melee lands on this and look at the tank side of it because what I want to do for this theory crafting episode is I want us to kind of come here with what we're going to be doing, but at the same time, I just kind of want to provide a bit of a spectrum for what people are going to be hearing. I don't want, 3 people who are going to be going, absolute min-max in that case. So we'll try and spread things out across the spectrum in terms of what we talk about on Sunday with that. And then at tier 6, we have Perfidious, which empowers the Inferno of Zamorak, the Grasp of Guthix, or the Light of Saradomin for Inferno of Zamorak, increasing its activation chance by 5x. For the Grasp of Guthix, the requirement is reduced to 2, and for the Light of Saradomin, their cooldown will be reduced to 4.8 seconds only.
Quite significant. One clarification again on this. The effect on the Inferno of Zamorak only affects the on-hit from tier 2. So if you...
Okay, fair enough.
If you didn't take that blessing, then Perfidious is really only going to be useful to you. Like it's still going to be useful to you because you'll get one of these no matter what, but it will be marginally less useful to you.
Yeah.
Potentially.
Yeah. Envenom, poison damage is increased by 50% and an additional 2% per Herblore level.
That's interesting.
I don't think I had it on my bingo card of Herblore being a combat multiplier this league.
No, but it kind of makes sense. It makes sense for the Guthix path.
Yeah. And damaging an enemy disables their poison immunity for 30 seconds. So does this mean everything's poisonable?
Everything is poisonable for 30 seconds. There's the unless.
Yeah, so you could go a poison build then if you wanted to.
Yeah, you could go hardcore poison build if you really wanted to.
And then Tempered Heart, really simple. Generates 6% adrenaline every 1.2 seconds.
Yep. It's
I mean it's just there. It's the boring one.
It's boring, but it's nice.
Yeah.
I noticed that didn't say outside of combat.
No, it didn't.
So that's potentially interesting.
This could have big ramifications for anybody if they were just going like a lean back, tanky Eternal Sustenance basics build.
Definitely.
So. And then the Godhood tier.
Yep, God tier 2.
Chaotic Insight. Each combat equipment item counts as 2 additional pieces towards its set effect. So you wear 1. He got 3.
Yeah, that's... I don't really... Like, this is definitely the hard one to use.
This is a dark horse.
Yeah.
I don't know
well how that'll go.
Like, the easy application is Tectonic, Elite Tectonic, Sliske, or War Priest of Tuska, and Tumikins.
Right.
That's the easy one. I haven't looked at Melee yet for this one, so I don't know where you would do that. But part of me is wondering if you do something, maybe, with the Darok Barrows set, and the one that reduces your life points by 25% and armor value by 25%.
Yeah.
To get that Darok set effect without using the Darok Axe, which is a tier 70.
Right. Yeah, this is definitely one that you're going to need to do a lot of theory crafting if you're going to take.
Yeah. And like I said, I've mainly done the theory crafting on Magic. I'm going to sit down tonight and see if I can hash out where Melee goes on this. Power Archive, another very interesting one. I was between this and Chaotic Insight until I ran the numbers. You get the Automaton Control Bot. Stores up to 20 weapon or armor gizmos, granting their effects while wearing augmented equipment. And combat perks stored have their rank doubled, excluding perks that do not benefit from additional ranks.
Yeah.
So
one clarification. 8? Yeah, biting 8. What you can't do is if you put 2 biting 8s in, you will not get biting 16. You'll just get biting 8. And if you put a biting 4 and a biting 2, you will get biting 8, not biting 12 or whatever.
Right.
So it doubles the highest you have, and they don't stack. It's only one per.
So this is a way
I
to
think
get biting 4 levels of crit without having noxious components.
this is potentially, I think, I feel like this is one that again could be potentially extremely powerful,
Yeah.
but you need to know how to use it, and you need to have a good source of invention components.
The other thing I was thinking of with this is that you set up a scavenging 8 farm with this.
Sure.
Because scavenging does count as a combat one. And then
Right.
from that, you can use that to get the invention perks that you otherwise might not have.
Right. The other, I don't want to say downside exactly, but the other wrinkle to this one is that you do need to need to have something augmented equipped, which depending on your build may limit you in certain ways. Like for me, I'm the guy leaning towards the tanky easy build. So if I wanted to use this, I would have to be very careful about my main hand weapon in particular, getting something that's augmented.
So
And that is then
your
has
lowest
reasonably high damage.
So what would that be then? Like
Well, that's
Scourge?
the question.
Maybe?
Yeah, Scourge would probably be the best option. Which then, well, you can get that. I was going to say that requires Wilderness, but no, you can get that from Sintistan.
Yeah.
But it does require 115 Slayer, so it's going to be a bit of a while to get there.
Drygore if you're going desert.
Yeah, Drygore if you're going desert.
If you have a heist, one of the heist weapons.
Yeah, the Varanus' Mercy would be one, which that's going to require Anachronia.
Yeah. Like and
so
again,
it's doable, but you need to be a little careful.
Yeah. The other thing I would like to do before we get for the theory crafting episode is to extrapolate the current calculator that's out there for scavenging 4 and extend that out to scavenging 8.
Right.
And then, say like what would be my expected time to get the number of noxious components I would need to build the biting 4 with this. And then the idea behind that then is then you would respec into Chaotic Insight after you have that.
Right. Right, because we get 3 respecs.
Which I don't think they've said where we get them yet.
Yes, they have.
Oh, okay. Where do they come from?
That was in the blessings tiers. I don't remember it off the top of my head. Give me a second.
Okay.
But yeah, that was in the blessing. That was in the blessing tiers reveal. That was that came out this week, in which we didn't go through because everything. Okay, blessing passives. So you get the first one at tier 1. You get the second one at God tier 1. And you get the third one at God tier 2.
Okay. So you're going to have a lot of respecs by then to deal with that. Fair enough. And, there's going to be a best in slot. But one of the other things that we have been kind of winking at with this is that there's an option if you just want to, have the lean back, easy combat method. Any equipped weapon for the Order, Godhood tier 3, Genesis Essence, your weapons are treated as tier 120.
Yep. BIS bronze knife.
Yeah, I did some back of the envelope math calculations on this as well if you wanted to. And my initial look at a survivalist healer kind of build on this, and it probably, and I say it wouldn't be that great compared to where we are right now. You'd be looking at an average 5200 magic basic attack using Blood Barrage, and this kind of went into AoE Splash Zone with that, but it would basically give you tier 120 weapons no matter what you wielded in that case, and that would just be one of the easy paths that you could ultimately take with that. So
yep, it's the very simple, doesn't need a lot of thought into it, but is still quite powerful.
And I think one of the things that I'm walking away from looking at these Godhood tiers in particular, I was kind of iffy as to what the first 3 would look like when we got those. But the thing that I'm walking away with now saying on this is that I don't think there's any bad choices necessarily.
No.
Everything is going to play a specific way, and one combat style or another isn't gimped like last year.
No, there's definitely. Well, I do think necromancy is in a weird spot because of the resource requirements to make the armor and weapons.
Yeah.
More so the armor. The weapons, it's just ore, which you can get from lots of different places. But necromancy, because of its limited gear progression, is in an awkward spot. But yeah, otherwise, yeah. Actually, sorry, there is one kind of caveat someone pointed out on the subreddit that the player stats are currently bugged. If your stats get too high, that it nukes your armor rating.
I did see that.
Which is not so hot for the order tier. I think it's like if you get to 255 defense, your armor rating goes to 0, something like that. Which,
because there is that other combat relic that, per a period of time, the Naragi one that puts your combat stats to 255. So,
yeah,
and again, I don't think that'll be fixed in time for launch, but maybe.
Probably not. It is on their radar, so hopefully it will be fixed. But
all right,
yeah.
But like we said, we did want to do a full theory craft on this, present a number of different options here as to where we go. So that episode will come out later on Sunday, right in time for the first league day, and then we'll go from there and see what we have. So like we said, this was a bit of a different episode to do. It's almost feels like we're getting ready to like go on vacation or something, or go and do something big, and just getting the last one in right before deadline. But
well, we got leagues coming up.
Yeah,
big things to do.
Yeah, at least that gets us through September. That's all I'll say. Then the RuneFest stuff starts right off the bat.
Oh, we got a Haven Height update in there too somewhere.
I know. We do have a few achievements this week. Tim 2 with 200 mil defense on August 3rd. Juan Peru with 200 mil Slayer on August 2nd. And Nathan with 200 mil Constitution on July 31st.
And also July 31st, Rhino with 200 mil Runecrafting. August 3rd, Ridgeway got the pristine Corbicular Rex egg, which is one of the Rex matriarch pets. I don't remember which off the top of my head. At 7,402 KC, which is painful. I hope that I assume it wasn't your last one because you didn't post that you completed the log, but I hope it's a late one. Hope it wasn't your first. And July 31st, Mindy Gaz completed Yakimaru in a duo for a Grandmaster Combat achievement. That is very impressive to me, who has only done Yakimaru once. So very well done.
Very nice. Very nice. I should look into how that goes in this day and age with all the combat power creep and whatnot that's out there. Because I know back when I was doing it, the cracks really started to show if you had a group of 5.
Yeah, so. I don't know. I was curious to see how long the kill was, but the timer isn't in the screenshot, so I don't know.
Alrighty. Well, I figured I would give us a pick of the week this week that fulfilled my promise from last week, delivering on the 2-hole system and mini golf.
Oh, I think people got plenty of delivery on the 2 holes, but carry on.
So we have putt.day. Many people will know Wordle as the daily kind of word solver thing that is on the New York Times now. So what putt.day is each day, it is a different unique mini golf course that you play in your web browser. And you compete on a global high score with it. You can even start a league so that a bunch of your friends could play together with it, and you can see exactly who's going to be getting the highest score. And this is something, I think that I've always wanted behind the scenes, because I don't know if you've ever heard of this other game called Golf with Your Friends.
Yep, I have.
It's a fun little kind of party game to play, right? But
Yeah, it's kind of like Worms, but mini golf, right?
yeah, because like if you're gonna get everybody together for a game night or something like that, you go to various things like Jackbox or Golf with Your Friends. But then you ask, well, what if it's just me in the middle of a day on the break between a meeting? Maybe I'll just go and I'll take a quick swing at whatever the hole is on putt.day. And I feel like oh, I didn't see that. I didn't see that bump in the thing there, but you can see we're for today's we're at 11 out of 11, which is actually pretty good, all things considered.
Yeah,
for
you
that.
bogeyed.
So
Jeez, par
better
11.
than 17% of today's golfers.
Hey, that's all right.
And then you can share the link after you do the course, or you can compete within your own league of various friends that you give the activation code to for it. And that's really all it is. There's different golf courses, and I don't think you can go back in time and go to different courses.
What if you go to the calendar? There's a calendar link there.
Oh, you can. Okay, that's good.
That's all right.
Yeah,
that's
but
nice.
and then one thing you'll notice that because I went back in time, you can't see who else is on this course because it's from the archive, whereas on the actual one it shows everybody who was golfing on the same day's course. So it's just a fun little browser game, and I think that's kind of like a lost art, because I remember back in the day we used to have all kinds of days. You remember like Flash games and whatnot?
Oh yeah. I remember Newgrounds.
Yeah. And it was just like, well, what's the modern equivalent of this, and tie it in with golf. And that's where we get putt.day. And I think one of the other really interesting things, and I haven't tried it yet, is you're actually given an option to make your own course if you wanted to.
Yeah, I noticed that in the menu.
So you could effectively lay out your own golf course if you have seen a mini golf course in, the real world, something that you want to try and emulate, or even a real golf course that you want to
very nice.
Try and emulate. That was better than 48% of the people that did it.
What do the yellow balls mean? In your score, it shows you get a ball for each stroke you took, but some of them are green, some of them are yellow.
That's a good question. I'm thinking the green ones are the ones that are under, and the yellow ones are probably the ones that are over.
Oh, but you were under par on that last hole, and you still had a couple of green ones. Or a couple of yellow ones, rather.
I don't know. We'll try and figure that out. But look at this for the make a hole.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I mean, it's like the POH, right? It's essentially a dev tool.
Yeah. So, able to submit
like Mario Maker.
Able to submit it for it. And, maybe that means that one of the good things that comes from this is that they'll never run out of, no, we don't want to search with Google Lens. They'll never run out of potential courses that they can run on here. But overall, I really enjoy this whenever I load it up. I try and remember to do it each and every day. We're on a different browser profile here right now, so we don't see what I've been doing in the past, but
maybe that's for the best. Maybe we don't want to see how addicted you are.
Well, all I'll say is that on one of the ones when I first started, I was like 18 over.
Ooh, that's rough.
Yeah,
that is grim.
But nonetheless, I was always a fan of mini golf growing up. We had lots of interesting mini golf courses that we frequented around the city for birthday parties and just, general kind of like summer things that we could do. So seeing this now in a web browser and taking inspiration from both Wordle and Golf with Your Friends is something that just kind of made me smile. And like I said, after last week's discussion on mini golf, I figured we needed to deliver on that promise.
We finally have golf content. You can resubscribe. Promises not broken.
But that's the pick of the week, putt.day. I'll create an RSBANDB league and link that in the show notes for anybody who wants to take part in that.
That's cute. That's a cute little game. I might try that out.
Yeah, give it a go. I don't know how it works on mobile or tablet. I haven't tried that.
I feel like it would do pretty well as a mobile game because it's just click and drag, right?
Yeah.
So it would be a good interface for it.
Yeah. But putt.day. But as I was saying, that pretty much brings us to the end of this week's edition of Update. We'll be back on Sunday for the theorycrafting episode. Bearers will be there. I don't know who the fourth suspect will be yet, but
TBD.
When the league's prep first started, Bears asked me if he could be on that one. I'm like, yeah, you really enjoyed last year's. Yeah, you can be on there. And his story behind that is that he didn't know he was doing the last league until a few days before, and that happened to be the day we were recording the theorycrafting episode.
All right.
So he winged it and had a time of his life being one of the 2% who went raged.
Well, hey, I mean, that's a good ad for leagues. Like, you really don't need to put a whole lot of planning in. You can just kind of wing it day of, and you still have a good time.
Like I was joking at some point, we could go either like randomizer or Patreon picks.
Yes. Have the patrons vote. Do
like imagine
like Twitch plays Dark Souls except leagues.
Like imagine a Fremennik Taranwin Asgarnia league playthrough. That might not actually be that bad.
Yeah, you know what? I dig it. I could dig it. I'm kind of coming around to something Thaxy's been saying about how the Frem, like, yes, Frem is the meme pick because there's nothing there. But, I mean, they've said that every region will have enough points.
It'll have the same number of points, yeah.
So there'll be easier tasks. So if you're just looking for a chill time, Frem is maybe the way.
Yeah. Party like it's 2007 at the Dagonoth Kings.
Yeah. Yeah, DKs and...
That's like the only PVM content up there, isn't it?
It is. Although Glacior, they said that Gorok is going to be part of Fremennik.
Oh, okay. So the Glacior
So Glaciors will be there, yeah.
Yeah.
And Ritual of the Majorat will presumably be auto-completed.
Right. All right. Well, if you want to get that episode when it arrives, update.show/subscribe, or on all the major podcast listening services out there, Apple Podcasts, Pocket Casts, Spotify, and more. And of course, we're also on YouTube at youtube.com/RSBNB. We post the video versions of the show there. If you listen there, like and subscribe, that all helps the channel out. But the best thing you can do is if you're watching on YouTube or listening on YouTube and we say something you want to respond to, post that on YouTube. YouTube loves comment engagement at this point in time, almost the most out of anything. So if we said something that you want to talk about, youtube.com/RSBNB. Post it all there. But like we said, the next update episode comes very quickly. It'll be on Sunday, and we'll be talking all about our leagues plans as we head into Leagues 2 Equilibrium. But I don't have anything else this week. You good, Sir Dones?
Yeah, I got nothing else.
Alrighty, well, thank you for being here, and of course, to everybody else, thank you for joining us, and until then, we'll see you next time for another episode of RSBANDB Update. See you then, everyone. Take care.
Bye.